What's up? It's your boy Jay working. All right, so I'm gonna do this tutorial real quick on the double exposure effect, right? So this is Adobe Photoshop 2021 CC. So as soon as you open up Adobe Photoshop, you can see some recent pieces you was working on, or it may not be anything in here, right? So right over on the left side, it says create new. So we're gonna create a new document. So we're gonna create a new document. We're gonna make this 1080 by 1350 pixels, and we're gonna make this 72. We're gonna click OK. So we want to just keep this small, right? So we can share this on the internet. So this is our document. So I'm gonna go File, Open, and I'm gonna open up a couple images that I downloaded from Google, and I'm gonna grab this piece of Kendrick Lamar that I got right here. So I'm gonna click Open, and I'm just gonna drag this over. Well, I'm gonna separate him from the background. So I'm gonna zoom in. So a quick way to zoom in is just to go to View, zoom in. And the shortcut to do that is Command minus Command plus. So Command plus to zoom in, Command minus to zoom out instead of going up here, right? So I'm gonna use this quick mask and selection tool right here. So it works like a brush. You can see the brush right there. I'll zoom in so you can see it. It's a brush, and whatever I brush on is basically going to select it, right? So selecting it is just basically talking to Photoshop and saying, look, this is the area that I'm working with, right? So I'm selecting, and then I'm gonna zoom in, Command plus, and I'm just kind of barely touching the edge, right? Because if I go too far over, it's gonna select whatever this brush touch, right? So I'm barely touching the edge, you see, right? So let's just say you do go over a little bit like that. If you hold down the Alt key, you get a minus sign inside of that brush, and then I can push back that selection. So I could kind of brush in the selection, right? And then with the minus sign, holding down the Option key, I can brush in, right? So I'm just kind of gonna, that's good enough. We got him all selected. Make sure you look inside, make sure you don't select none of his chain. So I'm coming in here, selecting his chain, boom. Got him all selected. And we're just gonna do an edit, copy, and then we're gonna go over here and do an edit paste. Edit paste to our document, right? So we can cut off this background layer. So I'm selecting the background layer, cutting this eyeball off so we can see. Zooming in, Command plus. It's pretty good, it's good enough. I want him to face the other way. I'm gonna select this layer. I'm gonna name this layer Ken1. And I want to turn him around. So with the move tool, I can move him around, right? So I'm gonna go to edit, transform, flip horizontal. Okay, all right. So the main key to this, doing a double exposure effect, is basically clipping effects inside of this image and using layer masking. So we're gonna do a bunch of layer masking, and we're gonna do a bunch of clipping. All right, so let's get some more images in here. So I'm gonna go File, Open, go back to my folder. And one of the things is with doing double exposure effect is really having an image of a portrait of somebody, usually black and white, nice contrast, and then you're just laying some landscapes inside of his photo. So I'm gonna click on this image right here. We're done with that. I'm gonna go back to this mountain, pull this over with the move tool, drag the mouse over his face, and then let go. All right, so now I got this on top. And I want to turn down the opacity so I can see through it, so I can know where to place these mountains at. Right, so I'm gonna kind of place them up here, like kind of like this. So this is how you clip it. So you move your mouse over here into this gray area on the layer. Let's name this mountain. I'm just gonna abbreviate it MT for mountain. I'm gonna right click my mouse, move down to where it says create clipping mask. Boom. It's clipped in there, right? So one of the things is when I zoom in, one of the things I do is I play with the blending modes. So up here at the top of this layers panel is blending modes. And what a blending mode does is it just blends this layer in with different layers at the bottom. Depending on the dark tones and the light tones, depends on if it's in the darkened area, if it's in the lightened area, you see the different effects, right? So you already see it's kind of taking shape to something. So let's see. I'm gonna leave it at that, like that, right? So we see this hard line, and we want this smooth and blended in, like it's all blended into this image, right? So here's what you do. On this mountain layer, I want to erase some of this bottom, right? So you do that with a layer mask. So down here at the bottom of your layers panel, you see this little icon right here. This is the layer mask. When I click on the layer mask, I get another page. Right now we see it's white. That means that it's visible. And the reason why we're using the layer mask is to erase objects non-destructively. So we got an eraser tool. We can erase it, but we can't bring it back. With the layer mask, I can paint black to erase and paint white to bring it back if I want to. So this is the way you erase stuff. I got the paintbrush, it's automatically on black. I'm gonna go up to my brushes. I got a soft brush. I got a nice size already. And then I'm just gonna erase. And you can see the black going over here, and that means it's erasing, right? So if I flip this around, this my foreground color is black, my background color is white. If I flip it around to white, that's my active color. I bring that color back. I'll basically bring that image back, and you can see it right here going back, right? So I'm gonna flip this around, have my foreground color on black, and I'm kind of erasing, right? So let's get another image in here. File, open. And then we're just gonna keep repeating this process, right? So I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna grab this piece right here. File, open. Get my move tool, click it, drag it over, drag it on top of my image. Boom. We're gonna do the same thing. Take the opacity down. And the thing is, like, you could rotate this image or whatever you want to do, right? So the same way I flipped it, I can rotate it. So I'm gonna do edit, file, transform, rotate, and I'm kind of looking at the lines, right? So I'm rotating. I kind of want the lines to come across and kind of come up into his eye like that, I guess. So it's up to you, right? Kind of like that placement. I'm gonna bring back the opacity right here. I'm gonna right click, go down to create clipping mask, and boom, it's clipped inside. And then the same thing before. We're gonna go down here into these blending modes and see what effects we get, right? So you can see. And the cool thing is, let's just say I wanted to go with this one, right? So I go with this one, but the problem is that we can't see no details in his face. But I kind of like how this is going up in there, right? So no problem. We making adjustments with this layer mask. So repeat, we hit the layer mask right there on the layer, boom. It's already black. I get my paintbrush and I'm kind of erasing parts I want to bring back. Right, I want to bring back some details, right? Maybe I like this line coming across like that. We kind of see. Same thing with this bottom right here. If I wanted to kind of fade this bottom out and have a different effect, but I'm going to keep going. So file, open. Let's see what we got. We're going to get this Hollywood in here. I'm going to click open. I'm going to hit the move tool. I'm going to click and move this over. Boom. Sometimes when you're moving stuff over into these layers, it might fall down in here and stuff might get unclipped. It may fall down in here depending on what layer you was on. You just take this layer and move it up to the top, right? So instead of doing a right click and then coming down here to create clipping mask, we're going to do it with the shortcut. I'm going to move my mouse over here between these two layers. I'm going to hold option down and I get this box with this little arrow pointing down. Boom. So that's in there. I'm going to resize it. Instead of doing edit, transform, scale like I did before, right here like I did before, I'm going to do Command T. So with the keyboard, I'm going to do Command T, and that's a shortcut. But you can see the bounding box is too big. So I'm going to zoom out, Command minus, boom, boom. Grab this anchor point, drag this down. It's way too big. Boom, move this over here like this. Click OK. Zoom back in so we can see. We're going to do the same thing. Layer mask right there. And this time, instead of painting black with the paintbrush, I'm going to use a gradient tool. So the gradient tool, and you can see right here, I got the basic gradient, black to transparent. That's going to give me a smooth blend. So when I come over here with my mouse, I click and drag a line. It's going to give me a smooth blend from black to transparent. See that kind of taking effect, right? So the thing is, I want to fade this bottom up too. So we're going to click on his layer right here, the Kendrick layer, and I'm gonna hit layer mask, boom. And then with the same tool, I'm gonna come up and drag up. So it depends on how much you drag, how the just kind of depends on the length of your drag, the smoothness of it. Might not like it, it might be too much. I'm not really feeling it, so I'm gonna go back to the brush. You just kind of experiment, right? So I'm gonna come and put a city under here, right? I'm gonna try something. So put a city under here, see if that work. File open. Right here. This is my document, even though I didn't name it. I'm gonna grab the city, drag it over here, let it go. It kind of, you see where it fell at underneath here. It's okay. If you want it to fall up top, then just move it up. So it's underneath here. I'm gonna bring it down so we can see it. The thing is, I don't want it to clip. I want it underneath. So I'm gonna put it underneath. So it's underneath. I'm gonna rotate it 190 degrees. I'm gonna flip it upside down, 180 degrees. Come down. I kind of want it down here. Let's zoom in so we can see what the heck we're doing. Kind of want it down here. So you can see it's kind of meshing with the buildings. Right. So what I'm going to do is I want this line to come straight down. No problem. I'm going to use this marquee tool. I'm going to drag a box, come down. Boom. And let's make a layer mask first. I'm going to make a layer mask first. Boom. Now I'm going to drag down. Boom. And get my little brush. Paint black, erases, right? Boom. Then I got to cut the selection off. Come up here to File, Select, Deselect. Remember, a selection is talking to the program. I'm going to come down here. And I'm going to kind of, let me zoom in so everybody can see what the heck I'm doing. Just tone this down so I can see. So using the opacity tool, we could bring this down so we can see. Now I can see the edge of his arm, right? So I'm going to kind of use the marquee tool and come right here, come across first. I'm going to come over here, make sure I'm on my layer mask, not on my layer. Now I'm going to brush. Now it's going to get rid of it. Boom. Let's hit Command D, deselect. I got this little edge. So I'm going to use this lasso tool and kind of come across. I'm not trying to really make it perfect. Come across up here. Select that area. Hit the brush tool. Brush. Command D. You could always just brush too. So I'm going to make my brush smaller with the bracket keys on my keyboard. Right, smooth that up, and then make my brush bigger with the bracket keys and kind of I'm just kind of softly hitting that. So I'm going to select all these layers and move them up. Boom, I got some. That image still there, so I'm gonna select this layer mask right here. Hit B on my keyboard. That's a shortcut for the brushes. Kind of hit that right there. Boom. So let's add one more effect, and we're gonna call it a night. Right here, File, Open. Boom. Let's close this down. Little tabs you're not using, close them down. Make sure you're in the Move tool. Click this image. Hold your mouse down. Drag it up to the tab or where you're working on. Then drag it down. Then let go of the mouse. If you get lost in it, you got to keep trying until you get it. So I'm going to resize this. Command T. Grab this. We're going to stick this in here. I'm going to okay this first. I'm going to turn down the opacity so I can see where my placement is. Some sparks and all that stuff in there. Okay. So I'm going to turn this back up. I'm gonna go down to lighting. Right, so kind of like this. I don't like the tone of these mountains or whatever, so we're gonna make those black and white. And I want to add maybe some buildings on top of his head or something too. So we just gonna clip this too. Clip this. File open. I'm basically doing the same thing, right? I'm just clipping images and stuff that I found. You're just gonna experiment. I'm gonna click this, move this over to here, drag it down, boom, turn down the opacity. I want to kind of have this at the top of his head, so I'm gonna zoom out, Command minus, so we can see. I'm gonna make these buildings smaller, Command T, boom, grab this anchor point, drag it up. Kind of want this over here. I could click over here outside, see this turn, I could rotate. Click OK. Drag this back up. Right click, come down here. Create clipping mask, boom. And I'm gonna do soft light. And Command T, I'm gonna rotate. I'm gonna erase most of this because I just kind of want the top of the buildings coming across his hair or something. So I'm gonna click OK. So now I'm gonna make a layer mask. Boom. Here's a little trick. I can completely get rid of this whole thing. I can erase all of it by hitting Command I, and it's gonna fill this whole thing up with black. So I'm gonna hit Command I on my keyboard. That's invert, and it turns this whole layer mask into black. Remember, black erases. So now I'm gonna go over here to my color picker, and I'm gonna make sure that the foreground color is white. I'm gonna come with my brush, and I can bring in parts of it little by little that I want. Maybe I'll bring in these parts. You can see it's going white over here too. I don't like this color in his face, so I'm gonna turn this mountain into black and white. So I'm gonna go to my mountains right here, and I'm just gonna make it black and white. So I'm gonna go right here in this at the bottom of my layers panel. This is the adjustment layers, and I'm gonna come in and go black and white. So we can see black and white, little color at the bottom. Or we can make it all black and white. Command minus. So we can put this, we can put all of this into a folder. So I can select this bottom layer, hold shift, select the top layer, hit this folder right here, just group it all together, and with the move tool, I can move it as a group. I can move it as a unit, right? So let's just say I wanted to have a background. I can have any background I wanted, right? Maybe we find something on the net that's black and white. I'm in Google. I'm just gonna type in black and white, see if we could get a little background. Black and white wallpaper. I put black and white wallpaper because it usually gives me large images. I kind of like this floor pattern. So I'm gonna take this floor pattern and just drag it right on my thing. Move it down underneath. Got this floor panel right here, and I'm just gonna use this as a background and just turn down the opacity, see what that look like. So that's it. I ain't gonna make this too longer than I need to be. That's the double exposure effect. It's your boy Jay Working signing off. If you like these tutorials and you want to see more, let me know. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit me up and tell me to slow the heck down, speed the heck up, whatever I need to do. This your boy Jay Working. This is the double exposure effect using my man Kendrick Lamar. Boom.